So many of you heard about the cloud and you are considering to step into the cloud as a fresher, or maybe upskilling from another field, or maybe from within IT you would like to get into cloud computing, and you heard that cloud solutions architect from AWS, or the AWS certified solutions architect, is the way to go, and that is what you need to finish in order to get a job. But then after you finish that cloud certificate, you find out that it's not easy to get a job. So in this video, we are going to discuss what's the right way to approach, or the right roadmap to get into cloud computing, and what would be the steps and the skills under your belt to be qualified as an entry-level cloud solutions architect or engineer. I'm going to discuss that in details with all the skills required, the steps you need to take, the roadmap, and what certificates you should consider if you would like to be competitive when you start applying to cloud computing jobs. So stay with me, and please consider subscribing to the channel, activate the notification, and give us a like and share in order to spread the knowledge and reach and benefit everyone. All right, so many must have told you that you need to get the AWS Cloud Practitioner and then the Solutions Architect Associate and then start applying for jobs. This has stopped to be effective since 2019. Yes, you heard it right. Since 2019, my students came back to me after they finished the Solutions Architect Associate and they had very good level of knowledge. And they said, we are applying for jobs, but then they are asking us for other skills. Linux is included, networking is included, automation and scripting is included, and also infrastructure as code is included, configuration management was included, Docker and Kubernetes. So there is no job in modern IT that is only like get a CCNA and then you can apply for jobs. In modern IT, they need you to be diversified. And the reason is, if you would like to get into cloud, the cloud providers are doing 90% of the jobs that used to be done physically by people. So they are doing that away from you, and you only have a portal that you can log into, and then you can start configuring services. So you are not going to do that 90%. Now you need the breadth. So this is where a lot of people get confused, and they are mistaken about the fact or the claim that there is no entry-level jobs in cloud. So what's the path that most of the people would take? Let me take you here. So if we go into the AWS certification webpage, which is basically aws.amazon.com/certification, you will find that there is a foundational certificates, and cloud practitioner is the one that most of the people would go to start into cloud computing, even the non-technical people, project managers, directors, managers. This certificate is for anyone who just need to get their toes wet, not even their feet wet, their toes wet in what cloud computing is, and a lot of generic information about a lot of services. Most of them you are not going to use at the start of your career, but you have to know it because AWS decided to make it as such. And if you go to Azure, learn.microsoft.com, and then the credential certification, you'll find that there is a counterpart to the cloud practitioner, which is the Microsoft Certified Azure Fundamentals. Similarly, it is at the administrator beginner level. Just get your toes wet in the Azure ocean in order to find out about storage and about some security and about some networking and so on. So neither one of them, once you achieve it, you are qualified to start in cloud. Neither one of them. And a lot of people, they would do the practitioner and then they would move and take the Solutions Architect Associate. This is the most common one, and I agree to the step, but it is the absolutely wrong career path to start if you are a beginner. If you are not a beginner and you have been in IT for quite some time and you have been a solution architect in another field, let's say in databases or maybe networking or maybe security or maybe storage, then Solutions Architect here will make you capable of building basic solutions because you understand the concept of solution architecture and gathering requirements and challenging requirements, architecture trade-off and architecture decisions and how you write documentation and all that. But don't dream that you are going to get the cloud practitioner and the solutions architect associate. If you are a newbie, you are a fresher into IT, or you are moving from another career into IT, with no background in IT, you will never ever make it into solutions architecture easily. It could happen, but 7-8 years ago, it was much easier than it is now. And we are going to look at job posts, and I'm going to show you what is expected from a solutions architect, even at the junior level, even at the associate level. So this is not the right way or the right entrance into cloud computing as a solution architect. One, of course, is going to jump now and I'll say, no, but I have seen there is a junior solutions architect jobs. And there are also associate solutions architect jobs advertised every now and then by AWS and by partners. Yes, they will come out. But what is the skill set they are expecting even at the junior or the associate level solutions architect? 100%. It's not going to be only that you have received or you have achieved these two certificates. Let's not stop here. Let's go ahead and find out, how does AWS define an intern solutions architect? How does the market define a solutions architect? And what are the key requirements or skills expected from such a role? So let's go ahead and look at the Amazon jobs. In Amazon jobs, you can here define, or you can put some search criteria. You can also decide on the location, and then you can search. So here I just typed AWS because I don't want the Amazon, the commercial side of Amazon jobs. And you can find senior solutions architect and principal solutions architect, senior AWS cloud architect, systems engineer, construction manager, and so on, and AWS cloud architect, and so on. So I have picked some of them. So let's start with the most easy one, the intern solutions architect. And this is in Australia, and that's part of Amazon AWS, and this is the job ID. I'm not asking you to apply. We're going to analyze what they are expecting you to know as an intern solutions architect. And this is going to validate and prove my point to you. So let's scroll down. You can, of course, read through it if you would like. But basic qualification and preferred qualifications. Let's find out. So this is, again, an intern solutions architect. So now they are expecting you to be in the penultimate year of degree in computer science, engineering, mathematics, or technology, graduating in 2026. So here they are very clear about someone who's going to graduate in 2026. Fine. So they are expecting someone to come from an academic background that has to do with engineering, mathematics, technology, or computer science. Interest and aptitude to learn about and deliver cloud-based solutions to customers. So you are going to build cloud solutions to customers. Knowledge. Here they didn't say mastery and they didn't mention expertise. Knowledge of the programming languages like Java, Python, Ruby, Node.js, C# or C++. Okay, so that is or, so one of these, or the interest and technical ability to learn a programming language. So they expect you to either know or be prepared to learn one of these languages. Experience with one of the following programming languages. So here knowledge, now they are saying experience. Okay, an experience with networking fundamentals, security and database, relational or NoSQL database, operating system, Unix, Linux, or Windows. So they want you to know at least an operating system, you know the network fundamentals, you know the security fundamentals, an ability to learn one of the programming languages or knowing one of the programming languages. Of course, they will not expect you to be a master in programming, but you know a programming language. Preferred qualification. So on top of that, would be nice to have experience implementing a cloud-based technology solution in a school project or while working for a company. An experience with one of the following domains: big data, analytics, security, DevOps, application development, or machine learning, awareness of AWS or cloud computing. So even as an intern, they expect you to have breadth. So operating system was mentioned, security fundamentals, network fundamentals, and they expect you to know one of the programming languages. And also you know or you have experience with one or more of the following, including big data, analytics, security, DevOps, application development, machine learning. They haven't mentioned anything about networking, if you noticed here. So looks like even as an intern, they expect you to have studied in university cloud computing, or maybe you have worked on your own to learn and certify during university. And then you know one of these domains, maybe because you were working in a university project, or maybe you have been studying like machine learning, advanced machine learning theory, and so on, or data analytics and statistics in university. So even at the intern level, they don't expect you to just achieve cloud practitioner and solutions architect associate, and then you come apply to the job. You will not be accepted. Even as an intern, as you can see, if someone possesses more skills than you from this list, they are going to get the job. All right, what else? AWS, still with AWS. So solutions architect, now without the associate, without the junior, without the intern, what do they expect? So we go back to qualification. Experience with specific technology domain areas, software development, cloud computing, systems engineering, infrastructure, security, networking, data or analytics. So as a solutions architect, there is no way, even at the intern level, they will expect you to come fresh, knowing nothing about anything in IT, and you just read or passed an exam, and now you are coming and applying for them, because they are going to drill you in the interview about one of these domains to know the depth of what you know. Experience in design, implementation, or consulting in application infrastructures, and bachelor's degree, diploma, or equivalent, and fluency in English. Preferred qualification, working within software development or internet-related industries. Experience migrating or transforming legacy customers to the cloud. And experience with AWS technologies, cloud technology certification. So now we come to the certification. Solution architecture is fine. Cloud security professional is fine, or cloud DevOps engineering is fine. So if you have any of these, and of course, because this job is in Dutch branch in Netherlands, and they're asking for the language as well. And it looks like the solution architect is going to be in the manufacturing industry, so they are asking for exposure into that. This is for the solutions architect, not for the associate. So you can see that there is a trend now in any cloud computing solutions architecture related job. They would expect that you know about one or more domains in IT before starting as a solutions architect. If we move to another solutions architect role again, then you'll find solutions architect, and you'll find that the requirements are similar. But now we're talking about 10 years of a specific technology domain area. This is advanced. So then what's the alternative? How can I get in? This is another one, but it's again more or less the same about qualifications and technology and all that if you read through it. So I'm not going to go through it. Now, if we look at, let's say, instead of this, let me go ahead and do cloud engineer. That's the right entrance if you'd like to get into AWS or cloud computing. Get from the engineering side first. Learn it very well and understand it, and then build the solution architecture on top. So prove yourself as a cloud engineer. They will know that you know it inside out, and then it's much easier to put the solutions architect skills on top of that, and then you will become a solutions architect very quickly because you understand the ins and outs and how everything works and all that. You just need some additional information, some cherry on the cake basically, and then you will be a solutions architect level 1 and then level 2 and so on. So let's look at the dedicated engineer, cloud engineer. Let's see if they have junior or associate. I don't see any junior here. So let's look for this one. Let's pick the one that had to do with EC2 and find what the difference would be. So this is the AWS definition of a cloud engineer. Look at this one. 3+ years of network troubleshooting and experience, and cloud computing technologies, experience support procedures and automating routine tasks, so bash and shell, and experience with cloud with performance and log analysis. Okay, so that's AWS. Now let's move outside of AWS and see what the market is asking for. And we're going to go into LinkedIn. And the search is junior cloud engineer. So here we have junior cloud engineer, this one in Houston, Texas, and This was 1 week ago, so pretty recent. Let's look at what is expected. Key job duties, you'll find here the job duties, what you are going to do. Cloud architecture design, application deployment, data management including data migration, network configuration, security management of the cloud, cost optimization, tracking cloud system performance, collaborating with departments, and proficiency in Bash, C++, PowerShell, or Python. So if you have Python and Bash, that is more than enough. Knowledge of public cloud platforms, familiar with Linux and Windows, preferred experience with Git, Terraform, and Ansible, strong verbal and written communication ability and willingness to participate in 24-hour on-call rotations. You have a bachelor degree in computer science, CIS, engineering, or equivalent work experience. So that is all fine. All right. So this is one of the companies, the Reynolds and Reynolds company in Houston, Texas. Let's look at another one, junior cloud engineer, also 1 week ago. And let's look at what is required, what is expected. So deploy and manage virtual cloud infrastructure across hybrid environments. So this is Azure. So this is the Azure knowledge. Automate deployments. How? Using infrastructure as code, such as Terraform, Ansible, or the Azure tools. So Terraform and Ansible. Before we looked at Linux and Windows and Bash and PowerShell. Provision, maintain, and scale cloud resources in Microsoft Azure. Monitor cloud resource utilization and cost efficiency and scalability. So you have to know the Azure services that do this. Troubleshoot and resolve system application and infrastructure issues. Perform root cause analysis as needed. Ensure infrastructure meets security, compliance, operational standards with a DevSecOps framework. So it is basically protected from a security perspective. Support, not own, support CI/CD pipelines and integrate infrastructure automation in the development lifecycle. Implement and manage containerization and orchestration technologies such as Docker and Kubernetes. Configure and maintain monitoring tools to ensure system availability. And then IAM, identity and access management. Implement optimization and assist in audits and compliance initiative. Provide tier 2, 3 support for escalated issues. And then what is required if you have bachelor's degree, 2 years of experience, 1 year for experience if you don't. So if you go through the others, you will find similar requirements. Junior cloud engineer again in Lensa, and requirements, Bash, C++, PowerShell, or Python. So it's an or. Knowledge of public cloud platforms, familiar with Windows and Linux, preferred experience with Git, Terraform, and Ansible, strong verbal and communication skills, ability to willingness to participate on calls. I think it's the same one or similar to the same one. So junior cloud engineer jobs are available, and they are more than the associate solutions architect. If you are new and fresh, do not get from the solutions architect door, because that is going to be very, very, very hard without any background in IT to get in, as opposed to cloud engineering. All right, so I think from what we have seen, it is very clear that cloud engineering, from a requirements perspective, is much easier to get in as opposed to solutions architect. We are going to discuss what certificates to take and what to do around certification. But before that, let's kind of recap what are the skills expected from a cloud engineer. So knowledge of IT fundamentals, including networking fundamentals, and Linux administration, and Bash scripting or Python or PowerShell, Git and GitHub, Docker and Kubernetes, and Ansible and Terraform. So this is what you are required to know to be successful as a cloud engineer on top of the cloud knowledge. So AWS knowledge as a cloud engineer, or Azure knowledge as a cloud engineer, or Google knowledge as a cloud engineer. Solutions architect alone in AWS is not enough, because you need to do systems manager as a service, which has to do with the operation at scale. AWS config, which has to do with ensuring the governance and the audit of the configurations and the history and changes and all that. You need to know Terraform or maybe CloudFormation, depending on the environment. But Terraform is better to use or to start with, and then if the job demands, then learn the job specific or the AWS specific one. So these are skills that there is no way you can get into cloud engineering, even as a junior, without knowing enough about this breadth of technologies or diverse technologies that are required in cloud engineering jobs. So if we look at a roadmap, how would that look like if we put that in a drawing so you can visualize it? So a summary of what we have seen on the different jobs would look like what you see on the screen right now. So IT and cloud fundamentals, introduction to one of the cloud providers. So AWS is the highest market share, but if in your country Azure is, or Microsoft Azure is the first one or number one or the most in demand cloud provider, then do Azure instead of AWS at this point. The question to you or to me is, how would you find out? Go on the famous job boards, ask around, get into social media and ask. Many ways to find out if AWS or Azure is better in your country, or maybe Google Cloud. Then learn Linux. We have seen it across all the cloud engineering jobs. Learn scripting using Python and using Bash. Of course, there is PowerShell and there is Pulumi and there is Ruby and there is Golang. There are so many of them, but Bash and Python are always, when there is a set of skills with an or, Bash and Python are always there. Python will also give you the logic, the fundamentals of programming, which will help you in the logic in scripting, and will also help you when we get to Terraform and work on that and how you can manipulate or build scripts. Git and GitHub, you will have a lot of artifacts, scripts, Python code, AWS configurations, YAML files in Docker and Kubernetes, and Terraform files, and playbooks in Ansible. Where are you going to keep all of that? And then how would you keep versioning? How will you allow other team members access to it to collaborate? Then Git and GitHub will definitely help you with that. Then you have the YAML introduction, Docker mastery, and Kubernetes mastery. Do you have to take the certificates? It's going to add a lot, but the Kubernetes here, maybe it will be a nice to have. If you want to prove your skills, then please go for it. Some people complain that the Kubernetes exams or the CNCF exams are expensive, but usually when they have the KubeCon and when they have such conferences and at the Christmas at the end of the year, they go with 30, 40%, sometimes 50% discounts. So keep an eye on that and find out when they have promotions. You can buy the exam coupon and that will be valid for 1 year. So you can take the exam anytime, but you can book it using the discount. Then we have Prometheus and Grafana. Why do you need Prometheus and Grafana? We haven't seen it in any one of these. Operations need visibility and monitoring. And Prometheus and Grafana are two of the most famous tools with Nagios, but you need to get a feel of that. This is very important when you are going to do operation, monitoring, visibility, and logging. Then you have infrastructure as code, the ability to write your configurations in the cloud as code, whether it is on AWS or Azure or Google Cloud. Terraform is going to help you do that, and the exam is very easy to get. Then you have the configuration management, and Ansible is the best or the most famous one right now. Puppet and Chef used to be, but now Ansible has taken over, especially in the new environments. So if you learn Ansible, you can do the RHCE exam, especially if you have done the RHCSA beforehand to prove and validate your Linux skills. So once you have done that, so this is the Linux part, you can start to apply for jobs at this level as a junior administrator, especially when you have the Bash scripting. This is going to be the cloud engineering required skills. And then we come to the cloud certifications. So now here, if you would like to do the normal path, AWS Cloud Practitioner and Solutions Architect Associate, I would say, okay, fine. But then you need to learn Systems Manager and AWS Config. Very important tools that have to do with operations. And also, of course, you need to know CloudWatch very well. And these are all covered to a nice extent on the SysOps Administrator Associate exam in AWS. Unfortunately, the SysOps Administrator doesn't focus much on the solutions and to know most of the services in AWS, but it focuses on the operational side. So if you take the Solutions Architect and you learn these topics from the SysOps Administrator Associate, that would be perfect. If you take both exams, so that will be 3 exams from AWS, that will be perfect. If you would like to do the cloud practitioner, study the solutions architect without the exam, and then study the SysOps administrator associate and take the exam, that would be perfect. Okay, so 2 certificates or 3 certificates. When AWS is the black horse of cloud or the golden cloud provider in your country. If not, then you go to the Azure fundamentals and take the Azure administrator. These are equivalent to cloud practitioner and the SysOps administrator associate in AWS. If both are famous and you don't mind studying and spending a little bit more, but then you become cloud engineer, then why not? Then take the 2 or 3 exams and the 2 from Azure. And here you have 4 exams you have taken. That will be 8 exams that you have done in 1 year, in 14 months. You'll be a very strong cloud engineering candidate that knows AWS very well, knows all the tools very well, and also knows Kubernetes very well, and Docker very well, and scripting and Linux. If I were you and I have done all of this study and all of these certificates, I would apply for 1 and 2 years experience jobs, because most probably whoever has 1 or 2 years does not have half of your knowledge. Trust me on that, if they have not done certification and they have not studied and did the same. Is this enough? Of course not. You have to do projects. You have to do projects in AWS. You have to do projects in Linux. You have to do projects when you do Python on the cloud. You have to do projects when you get to Kubernetes, to Docker, when you get to Terraform, when you get to Ansible. When you do the cloud, and you have to know ECS, for example, in AWS, the container service, the Docker service in AWS. You need to know EKS, which is the Kubernetes managed service in AWS, and the similar ones when you talk about Azure or Google Cloud. Why did I not include Google Cloud here? Because still, from a market share, they are on the lowest end. I think they have about 11, 12%, but Azure has about 20, 21%, and AWS has like 30% of the market share. So chances that you are going to bump into a lot of jobs that have to do with Google Cloud is unlikely. You are going to spend 8-9 months if you don't do the certificates, and up to 14-16 months if you do all the certificates. And of course, you can apply for jobs midway, but you will become a well-rounded cloud engineer with knowledge and certificates and projects that are equivalent to between 1 and 2 years of actual experience. I wouldn't be shy to write that as 1 year of field experience or 2 years of field experience. And if I have an HR screening, non-technical interview on the phone, I would say, yes, I do have 2 years of experience and I have done these projects and I have done this and I have done that. Now, when you get to the technical interview, you can tell them, now, I have what is equivalent to about 2 years of experience. I have done these projects. Here is my LinkedIn profile. Here is my GitHub portfolio. And please, I'm ready for any interview questions that you may have. Let them challenge you and then get to the higher level until they are convinced you are a good candidate. And then we talk about the offer and the financials and so on. Now, have you noticed something? If you have seen my cloud and DevOps video roadmap, I claim that this is the best one and the one that has the highest number of certificates and the deepest knowledge. The roadmap is only missing one component that would have made you a DevOps engineer as well. And guess what that is? Cloud and DevOps, and this is this step, the CI/CD step. So take a look at this one. This one did not have the Azure administrator, did not talk about the SysOps administrator in AWS, right? But it talked about CI/CD, the fact that you will work in order to be able to automate the software delivery and the continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines. So here, the only thing that is missing, if you noticed, is step number 12. Actually, this CD is a modified one from the other one. So this step should be number 14. This should be number 13, and this should be number 12. I apologize for the typo. But this is a modified one from the previous one. So might as well, if this is the case, and it will open for me like a path in order to get cloud engineering, AWS engineer, Azure engineer, DevOps engineer, AWS DevOps engineer, Azure DevOps engineer, why don't I do the CI/CD step as well? and then do the few extra services from here, or replace this with the SysOps administrator and add the AZ104, the Azure administrator here. And you don't have both cloud providers. You don't have to have both. If this is the winning horse in your country, then do AWS only to shorten the time. If both are famous, as we mentioned, do both. If Azure is only the leading one or the leading cloud provider, then do Azure, and then later on you can do AWS. So now you have the roadmap and you have the certificates, and we have proven from job boards that it is much harder to get in cloud computing as a solutions architect, and it is easier to get from the cloud engineering side, but it is never ever about cloud certification only. So if in your country, if someone has misled you with that information, if you have been reading articles that date back to 2016, 17, 18, it was true back then, it's not true anymore. They expect you, even as an associate or intern, to know diverse skill set and to be able to demonstrate your skills in that skill set. So how to use them together, how to use the different tools together, how to be able to secure your infrastructure, to establish your infrastructure using scripting, to build automation scripts for backups and else, to build infrastructure as code, to do the configuration centrally using Ansible, and to build Docker and Kubernetes based infrastructures, and to do the monitoring and visibility, and to administer the Linux, administer the systems, and also, the cloud knowledge. That's what they are looking for. So if anybody told you that there are no entry-level cloud engineering jobs, tell them that this is wrong. Your understanding of what a cloud engineering entry job is wrong, and that's why you are spreading that rumor. In fact, there are entry-level jobs in cloud computing, but the skills expected are not just cloud certificates, 1 or 2 certificates, and that's it. It's a diverse set of skills that are very important. All right? So hopefully the point is clear right now. Please do not forget to subscribe in the channel and activate the notification. Many videos like this are coming. And also, please consider giving us a like and share if you have benefited from this video, in order for that to spread and benefit the masses. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.